welcome to another amazing episode of Spoilers for Days, a show where the girls, the gays, and the theys come together and spoil your favorite shows from our perspective. In collaboration with Live by Live, shout outs to Live by Live in the chat. Thanks for holding it down and powering the stream. I am so hyped to be here today. Let's go! We get to talk about the nitty gritty, the good, the stuff we've been waiting for. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, baby!
Yes, I cannot wait to talk about this. Let's go!
Yes!
Again, this is obviously, like, for me, predominantly Asian American and Asian cast, and I've just like real talk of just besides Crazy Rich Asians and Joy Luck Club, I've never seen that many Asian people on a silver screen like that. I'm getting a little emotional, to be honest.
Yes.
Oh, get emotional. Get there.
And so Joy Luck Club is an amazing movie, and Crazy Rich Asians is like a fun romantic comedy, but like Mulan was not good, and I'm sorry people are gonna come at me for that, but like it was extremely disappointing, and the trailer was so good, so I had really high expectations for it.
It was pretty.
It was pretty. We can give that it was pretty. Rip Mulan. But Shang-Chi, like, it did everything that I wanted that movie to do. It took too long, but I'm just so happy we got here, and I'm just so happy that this movie just slapped in every single possible way. You know, it means so much more than just being a good MCU movie. Like for so many people out there, like it means like so much more than that. You know, it was a live action anime. I don't know how they could have made the fight choreography better. This like the bus scene was giving me like speed moments. I'm like, yo,
it needs an Emmy, or an Oscar just for the bus scene.
Seriously, that was so good.
Also, can we get stunt people in the Oscars?
Oh,
I will die on that hill.
Dude,
yeah.
Like I'm getting chills thinking about like just the fight choreography alone. Like I mean, John Wick is so good, and I thought it was like on par with John Wick, like The Matrix, like landmark changing stunt work for sure.
The thing about the fights too that I like tried to mention, but very vaguely when I last talked about Shang-Chi here, is that they're all so different. It's not just like, oh, cool, martial arts fight. Here's another martial arts fight, but like on a building, and now we're in a subway, now we're here. No, it's like every single fight had some unique element that had nothing to even do with like the location. They were all so different. Like some of them did obviously like on a bus or on the side of the building and the scaffolding.
That was so fun.
Every fight was so different and iconic. Not one fight I was like, okay, cool, we get back to the movie, I'm done with this fight, you know? Like, no.
They were all so
well choreographed.
And it had those those correlations, it had those references.
Told a love story. Like they didn't need to speak.
Cute.
They did not need to speak. I could see them falling in love, which was gorgeous.
I'm getting emotional you just saying that. It was like you just saw them falling in love, and I was like, this is hitting different, man.
I really wanted to talk about that, if we don't mind. We've talked a lot about relationships in the MCU and how they've come together. And in this film, we saw two of probably the most organic relationships I've ever seen in the MCU. Of course, right? The mother and father, that, like you just said, you saw them fall in love. Words weren't needed. Yeah. But then homegirl Aquafina, Katie is my new best friend.
She's amazing. The comedy in this movie, like comedy is so hard. Especially, you know, we've talked about this with What If.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It can hit wrong real quick.
It can hit wrong real quick, and it's like when it doesn't hit, like it really, those moments stick with you because they're just like really bad. But like she hit every effing mark. Like when they were going down the San Francisco street, and her and like the dumpster, good team, and then the guy's like, what the hell? Like honestly, everything. Just I like her betting against him when they're on the airplane, and like the flight attendant comes up and she's like, veggies or vegetarian or like beef. I was surprised by how good the comedy was, and it never felt like over. It wasn't, you know, we always talk about balance. Like there was God, they balanced everything. They balanced the fight. They balanced the emotions in this movie. They balanced the comedy. They balanced the romance. They balanced the kaiju battle, like everything was balanced. Like I was just like,
so glad that Katie they didn't force a love story.
That's what I'm saying.
Like there was 1 second where I was like, oh, like I think it's when she like saw him with his shirt off at the ring that I was like, do not push this love story. Like I want them to stay like brother, sister, best friends. Yeah. And I'm so glad they never took it there.
I was gonna ask, why is your shirt? She goes, why is your shirt off? Like,
yeah. But then she was like, looked at him like in a sexy way. Yeah. Like, oh, and I was like,
she did for sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Jessica, do you think it does stay that way? Because at the end, they're kind of touching each other's hands right before they get shipped off to the library. There at the very end. So I actually thought it hinted that they grew closer a little bit more at the end, but it wasn't shoehorned in.
Romantic way though.
Okay.
Tony Leung is like I thought he was the best part of that movie.
He was so good. Like he was so good. The way that he like it could get so easy to overact in a lot of the situations he was in, so easy, and he just kept this stoicism about him that was incredible. But like the stoicism shifted depending on who he was talking to or what time period it was, but he had this stoic nature about him that I just loved. Crazy.
I'm just like, if anyone deserves an Oscar from the MCU, in my opinion, like for me, it was like you felt his affection for the mom. You felt how much he loved her. Yes. He still had affection for his children, even though it was like you could tell he struggled with it. Dude, when he's getting his soul sucked out and he looks at his son and he just goes like this, like I literally was crying, sobbing, because he's just like, man, I effed up as a father, like so bad. And he was just like, do better. Like I literally just felt him in his like brain just being like, this is like your time now. And like it was just so, you knew so much was going on in there. Like you knew he was like, and he didn't speak a word, right? But you knew he was like, I'm sorry, this is your time now. Like I miss your, like there was just I miss your mom, take care of your sister. There was so much in that moment, and he didn't say a word, and I'm getting chills all over my body, because I was just like, you are such a good actor. And I think I've said this every effing show, maybe multiple times. The villains make the stories, and he was just like, this is much different than a Killmonger villain, because the Killmonger villain was like, you were just like, no humanity, right? But with the Mandarin, like you were like, oh my gosh, I see why he's so evil, why he's like, at the beginning, he just wanted power, right? And then he met something that just completely leveled his life, and then it got taken away from him, you know?
Yeah. And his sister, can we talk about his sister, please?
Yes, please. Just loved her.
Holy crap. The fight scene between Shang-Chi and his sister in the ring was insane. Like I never, in the previews, you think he's going to be fighting like Abomination or something. I never ever thought that it was going to be her until she steps out of the ring, and I was blown away. Like the talent.
I'm in love with her. I'm so
in love with her. I'll crush on her. I'm just like, you're perfect. Like,
and then her at the end.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The future of the 10 rings.
How did they bring all of these elements into one movie? Like it was just like, it had martial arts, it had romance, it had like mental health, it had like grittiness, like cyberpunkish stuff, like, you know, when they were in the like fighting ring, you know what I mean? And
then good amount of humor.
Good amount of humor, great amount of humor. And then it was like the fantasy elements, like these creatures, and the dragon versus the sucker thing. I was just like, what is going on? I mean, honestly, BK, you know, I know you and I love anime, and so like I feel like if you like anime, you automatically kind of like kaiju stuff. You know what I mean? So like for me, I was just like, my mind cannot be blown more right now. Like it was just like, and the animation was really good. Like
yes, the CGI was so
were sold to me. The creatures were sold.
The 10 rings and the power effects were very
oh my god.
We didn't even touch on that.
No, we didn't. Like we really should, because that first and the lore intro where he's out here
it's also a period piece. Like
yes, so much. Literally, I was like, oh my God. I wanted to talk about my connection to Katie, actually. I think it was so great to have her have like relevancy, have her have agency, have her have, honestly, literally, they probably wouldn't have won the war if it wasn't for her with that shot to the throat, right? Saving
for sure.
the Guardian. Yep. But I loved her story. Like, she had development of like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I'm good at anything. Like the whole little, like I'm crying over the old man getting soul sucked who was teaching Katie how to shoot arrows. That had me going. I know. Finally, like getting a mentor. Like I resonated with that. And like this movie did that so well. Like I feel like why this movie is a good movie, period. Right? Yes. It's not a good movie because it is featuring an Asian hero. No. It's a good freaking movie.
Yeah. Thank you. I love hearing that. Like, it makes me emotional to hear you guys say that.
It's not a good
makes me so happy.
It is a good movie.
Good movie. Yeah.
Period.
Like, I'm literally like holding back tears. That makes me like so happy to hear that.
Dude, I feel exactly like this film did. It did what Black Panther did for me.
It did, 100%.
It really gave that shine, that attention to detail, and the love that of these characters more than they deserve, honestly. Like it gave that polish that I could dream of. I didn't know I wanted it to go there, and they went there, and thank God. Okay, well, let's do this. We'll end cap on this one because we talked a little bit about all of our favorite bits and stuff, but we've got to talk about the end credit scene. We wouldn't be a spoilers show if we don't talk about the biggest spoiler, which is the end credit scene. And I love how our producers put it together here, calling it the Avengers Zoom meeting, because that's exactly what that was. Oh my God. The portal pull up to the little recap dinner. They're like, oh, come through, Katie, you got it too. But about these rings though, I didn't think that's where we were going to go with the end credits. I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I'm excited.
By the way, all the Wong appearances.
Yes, Wong is amazing.
It's just so funny. He'd just be on the screen for just like a minute or so, and I was just like dying. I loved him.
Even in the What If episodes, whenever we see Wong, I'm like, Wong.
I know, I love Wong. The end credits scene, I'll be honest, it was kind of lackluster for me. Like I thought it was cool, but it was kind of like some of those end credit scenes. We've been like, what? You know what I mean? And so it was kind of like
you gotta be careful though, because there's so much coming.
That's true.
That's true. Gotta be a little careful. I think they're also not tying it to they're kind of tying it to the bigger universe, being like, come with us. But they don't I don't want to overshadow Shang-Chi in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they showed like a Thanos
That's
moment,
a good point. That's a good point.
Then you would have totally forgot about what you just saw in the Shang-Chi movie.
You're right.
You'd be thinking about Thanos. Like, no, I like how they grounded it. I also loved that they brought it back with them and Wong and karaoke.
Yes, that was great.
So it kept the heart of the film. Like the heart was maintained throughout even the end credits scene, you know?
Yeah.
Like, phenomenal.
I agree with you though, Jackie. I was like, I was expecting maybe a little bit more.
I see what Jess is saying though too. Like they didn't want to overshadow it.
I would do a disservice to him.
Agreed.
Yeah. As a whole. So.
Agreed.
No. That's a really good point. That's a really good point because I did feel that way. I was like, oh, compared to other end credit scenes, but then I do think that they were like, dude, this movie we need to give respect to this movie. We need to just let it.
You need to not be like, oh shit. Because here's the thing: if you were like, oh my gosh, Shang-Chi was so great, but did you see Spider-Man at the end? Did you see Spider-Man? Like,
yeah. You're 100% right.
Yeah,
I'm happy they made that choice.
Now, we have our watch parties every Wednesday at 5 p.m. PT and 8 p.m. ET. So if you're ready to watch the next episode with us and the fellow queens, be sure to join the next episode.
Do we know?
Oh, do we know the deets? I don't think we know the deets.
The next one.
I'm curious. But if you join us there, I'm sure you'll see us there. Say hi. That's when you can watch and get our live reactions of the episode going. And then, yes, we'll be back here Thursday, 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET for more Spoilers for Days. I hope we all see you there. Thank you so much, Jackie, for joining us as well. MaidofMight, thank you. Had an amazing time, and I hope to see you next week, y'all.
Thanks, BK.
For Days.
Thanks, BK. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.